Aha! Always so nice to hear you, Inspector. I'll get you to your floor on the double. To the lobby we go.
Inspector, not a moment too soon. I've just finished my autopsy report. Ruth Bellamy was killed by plasma damage to the upper vertebrae, the occipital bone, and the cerebellum. If it's any consolation, her death was instantaneous and painless. I've also discovered a poisonous compound in Miss Bellamy's stomach lining ingested during her last meal. Toxic, but not enough to kill her. Spencer Woolrich complained of a stomach ailment around the same time period. I assumed he was being, Spencer. But now I'm not so sure. The thought occurred to me. I tested this hypothesis by vacating the contents of my stomach and testing for the presence of the same toxin. Slightly elevated levels of mercury and an alarming amount of blue food coloring. But other than that, no. I'm certain it wasn't, as you put it, just the hotel food. I did science. My profession. Almost certainly. Well, possibly they were trying to make her extremely uncomfortable, but I suppose killing her would also satisfy that criterion. Conversations with Mr. Woolrich tend to spontaneously transform into monologues. You'll find him on the VIP guest floor. I'd best return to work, Inspector. Autopsies always whet my appetite, and all this talk of food is distracting me.
The Grand Colonial Front Desk warmly welcomes you, Inspector. It's a pleasure to see you again. How may I be of assistance to you, Inspector? I'd love to, Inspector, but I don't really have the authority. Moreover, the guests were promised exclusivity. If I let you up there, I'll never hear the end of it. That's a good point. If they give me guff, I can just tell them that they're obstructing justice. That has a nice ring to it. Let me just set you up with VIP guest floor access. Done. You can now come and go as you please.
Aha! Always so nice to hear you, Inspector. I'll get you to your floor on the double. If you see Black Hole Birdie, be sure to get an autograph for me. Just joking. I've already got one.
What do you think you're doing? Sublight appreciates your business, friend.
The Grand Colonial Front Desk warmly How may... I'd love to, Inspector, but I don't really have the... That's a good point. If they let me just...
Aha! Always so nice to hear. If you...
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. Discrepancy detected. This bottle, recently discarded, contains residue from foreign substances. Chemical analysis complete. This unit has detected the following substances: oil, terrorray, blood, terrorray, unidentifiable biological fluids, terrorray. Yes, Inspector. Logical analysis indicates these substances were not present in the bottle's original contents. These substances cause extreme gastrointestinal distress in humans. Large doses can be fatal. This bottle contained Rizzo's Spectrum vodka. The presence of terrorray biological fluids may have significantly improved its flavor.
About time you arrived. I see you haven't dressed the way I asked you to, but I suppose that was expecting too much of a non-industry lout. Expect a complaint to management. Now, unless you'd like to waste more of my time, I suggest we begin rehearsing. Ready? You've fallen right into my trap, Captain. Oh, don't bother to fight back. You cannot hope to stop me from installing philosophism as the system's reigning ideology. Well, I didn't, you fool. It was in the script. Wait. Now that I think about it, you do smell rather like the Aether, old blood and unwashed feet. Oh, no, this is curious indeed. Who are you, and how did you get in here? You're here to investigate me? Oh, I assure you, I'm nothing special. Just an old crook with more money than time. That was a quote from The Retiree's Revenge, in which I played an ex-thief turned decrepit old man. But, of course, I'm certain you already recognized it. Now, what shall I sign first? Your weapon? Your wallet? Or perhaps something a little more personal? Undergarment signatures have been popular of late, or so I've heard. I should think so. Signing things has always been a delight. I've even perfected the flourish on the end of the W. By the by, how did you get in here? The only non-staff individual cleared to enter guest rooms is supposed to be the inspector for Bellamy's murder. Oh. Hello. terribly sorry, Inspector. I didn't realize it was you. Understand that I am beyond willing to comply with your search for the fiend that did Bellamy in. You know, now that I look at you, you're the perfect reflection of me, back when I starred in The Marauder's Bane. The absolute picture of justice. Ask me anything at all. I might even give you a straight answer. Indeed. The agonizing bowel pain was most undignifying. While I've certainly had no shortage of inadequate hotel meals, this was most explicitly pronounced. I suspect poison. And who would be most likely to poison me but Chef Anwar? Oh, we've clashed almost non-stop about his slop preparation. He must have tainted my meal in retaliation. None that I can think of. I treat all hotel staff equally, and with the minimum level of respect that they deserve. Is that a jibe? Could you imagine the tabloid headlines? Spencer Woolrich, Aetherwave star, spotted in gastronomic distress. Oh, unseemly hardly describes the half of it. How alarming! Whoever targeted her was certainly targeting me. I can only thank my ironclad constitution that I'm standing here before you. Oh, that's very good to know. Perhaps the poisoner simply meant to incapacitate us both, disrupt the product launch. I couldn't say, Inspector. I'm merely an actor. Very well, then. Oh, have you now? Please do go on. Don't leave me in suspense. Yes. Yes, I distinctly recall ordering an alcoholic beverage with my meal. This hotel is certainly bringing a new meaning to the phrase rotgut. Management shall receive the complaint to end all complaints. I'm quite used to being breathlessly watched. Certainly, but one quick question before we begin, if I may. How was it that Bellamy met her end? How awful. Whoever did this must have been quite heartless. I was meditating, of course. That's how I get into character. Respectfully, Inspector, it is rather counterproductive to commune with others while meditating. All actors have their methods, and this has been mine ever since I met that wonderful prophet of profitability. She taught me it for my role in The Unemployed Cometh. I had to lie face down on artificially heated pavement. The director wanted our suffering to be convincing. Needless to say, being able to leave my body helped to mitigate the pain, both during the 8-hour shoot and with the second-degree burns afterwards. I owe that woman much. Yeah, actually, only since I've been at the Colonial. The Unemployed Cometh was shot on site. That makes it, a few weeks. I cannot recommend her services enough. If you haven't been to see her yet, you really should. I'll answer whatever you wish. Bellamy has been my co-star throughout the autumn of my career. I should like to think I knew her. In fact, I cannot name a single role in the last 10 years that did not involve her in some way, unless you count the uncredited silent shopkeep on Melissa's Meteoroids. Oh, it wasn't. And don't think I haven't picked up on your tone. Resenting Bellamy is one thing, but killing her is another completely. It's also beneath me. Oh, come now, Inspector. What do you take me for? I'm an old man. I neither have the time nor the willpower to kill people for fun. Besides, I have my reputation to think of. I suppose that is enough on that grim subject. I'm sure you're joking. Perhaps I'm not in my prime, but you've no doubt seen the name Spencer Woolrich on many a serial advertisement throughout your travels. That can't be. You must just not remember. Or perhaps you only recognize my characters, not my name. Did you ever see me in The Masked Marketeer? The Busker of Byzantium? What about episodes 13 and 190 of Princess of Hephaestus? And who could forget From Halcyon with Love? I was great in that movie. Even if I was starring beside a 2-ton bucket of bolts and a woman with no talent. I think that's a bit of a stretch, don't you? If you're going to come after me, I expect evidence, unless you want to be smacked with litigation. Smacked! I'm sure you're joking. Perhaps I'm not in my prime, but you've no doubt seen the name. Yes. Oh, must I relive that ghastly event again? My intestines still have yet to fully recover. But I suppose we may discuss it further. Very well, then.
Aha! Always so nice to hear you, Inspector. I'll get you to your floor on the double. To the lobby we go.
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. Analysis of this stovetop reveals an alarming degree of grease buildup, approximating proximity to volatile gases and chemicals. Chances of an explosive combustion upon next use currently at 92.9%. Searching slug work logs. No work log found. Creating conjecture. Slug has likely not fixed this issue due to a lack of responsibility on the part of their employees. Most corporations have regular cleaning procedures to prevent damage to company property. Slug, already unlike most corporations in a variety of ways, does not. That or the employees tasked with inspecting are shirking their duties. For shame.
Wait, Captain. Okay then.
Performing scan. Gaslight appears to have gone out some time ago. Chance of explosive combustion without gaslight, 0.01%.
Yes? Are you here for the double rack of smoked sprat? Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but you'll have to wait. Oh, don't give me that look. Let me see if I can pencil you in for later. Actually, what am I saying? I can't do that. I'm booked for the next month. You'll have to make a reservation. Weren't you listening? We're reserved solid for the next month. I'm sorry, but you'll really need to order in advance. Is this some kind of a joke? We're not able to take on new orders at this time. I told you. No, we don't. Why are you doing this? Please stop. Here, just take it. Just take it and don't ask me for anything ever again. You're the inspector? Here? Why? I mean, you may ask me whatever you want. I have nothing to hide. Of course I did. I would never allow anyone else to touch the meals of so important a guest. Well, yes, I'm positive. Why? How? Oh, fine. There may have been times I left Helen's meal unsupervised. Spencer Woolrich and Bellhop Owens were underfoot in the kitchen as I was preparing Helen's meal. Either one of them could have tampered with the food when I was fetching ingredients. Well, it's a breach of professionalism, of course. Why else would I worry about it? Well, I suppose that's as good a point as any I've heard. I may have taken some time to engage in a teensy bit of recreational drinking, and consequently, I may have been somewhat less than coherent after preparing Helen's meal. Mr. Woolrich often finds the hotel's meals wanting. He seems to enjoy complaining in person. While I could appreciate someone with a discerning palate for once, I believe that Mr. Woolrich simply enjoys the attention he gets from us. Though don't tell him I said as much. If you wish to speak with him, Mr. Woolrich can most likely be found in his suite on the VIP guest floor. He's usually there if he's not poking around here. Yes, but not specifically. Owens often procures exotic ingredients from the creatures at the Wilderness Exploitation Reserve. Our guests can be rather particular. Let's not talk about the incident with the Raptidon pheromone glands.
It's always hard to say when Owens might be back. If I were you, I'd make a trek to the reserve myself. Otherwise, who knows how long you'll have to wait. I understand your reluctance, but... Oh, I just remembered. The kitchen security camera. It'll prove I'm telling the truth about everything. Constable Keene has access to the security footage in her office at the spaceport. If you visit her, you can figure out what truly happened with Helen's meal. Thank you for your understanding, Inspector. I'm sure you'll find the true culprit before long.
Did you hear that some...
Nicely done.
What the Rizzo spokesman said.
Inspector, good to see you. Let me just grant you access and... Welcome to the Piraeus Spaceport.
Hey, up it.
Hey, you! We've been looking for you, and by we, I mean Slug. Been real busy sniffing around Eridanos for clues, haven't you, Inspector? See, Slug Light Underground don't like that much.
Slug light? Would that be some form of bioluminescence? No? Nothing?
Should have kept your nose where it belonged, Inspector. Slug's sick of all your meddling in their affairs. Our affairs, I mean. We're... Draw, you damn breadworm, draw! Well, you ain't gonna stick that nose anywhere ever again. Quick, everyone! Get him!
Incoming! Prepare to feast.
Greetings, non-criminally associated individual. The Rizzo's constabulary is currently not closed due to a sprat infestation. Bureaucratic processes are currently suspended. At present, criminal reports do not require paperwork. Please lament only in marked lamentation zones. Please speak clearly into this unit's recording instruments. Error. Unit designation no longer wine taster. Unit designation now deputy. Unit does not have a favorite wine. Unit is incapable of taste. While potential lethality of unit instrumentation bears towards 95%, violent utilization of equipment would void unit warranty. All Rizzo's constabularies must include at least one deputy constable among the pool of available Rizzo's employee candidates. This unit was considered the most competent. How may this unit be of service to you? Checking logs. Error. Informational limitations found. 2. Reciting limitation 1. Do not tell users about constabulary sprat infestation. We do not need to pay the health inspector's bribe. A third time limitation 2. Do not read informational limitations aloud, especially not to any of those void-damned snot-nosed guests, or I'll have you sold for parts. All requests for security footage require a nominal compulsory bribe. Is that acceptable? Bits received. Delivering footage. If you would like a wine recommendation to pair with that footage, please submit the requisite request forms. Is there any other assistance this unit may provide?
Does Sublight Underground run this place? Looks a lot cleaner than the Groundbreaker.
You got an appointment? Appointment? Yeah, that's why you're here. Appointment? Not entirely out of the question. Convince me. Wouldn't mind a new bolter pistol. I've fired mine so many times, the tips nearly fell off. Let's give Mr. Kincannon a ring. Mr. Kincannon, got a person of interest here to see you. Think they've got business.
That sounds like our inspector. Please, send him up.
Why, if it isn't the inspector, I was hoping you'd swing by.
Here for my alibi, I assume. Let's see. That night, I was... torturing Elliot Nasser for information on missing cargo. That was a messy one. Didn't break until nearly noon the next day. Can you imagine? An excellent question. I had his body dropped off the edge of the land complex. I'm not sure what happened to it from there, scientifically speaking. Maybe it dissolved? Ultimately, though, it doesn't matter. You'd be a fool to believe me, regardless of what I told you. People lie, and I am, incriminatingly, people. Which, as I said, you should not trust. If it helps, however, you might consider pursuing not my means, but my motive. Why in the name of the architect would I kill Halcyon Helen? She was making me a fortune. I'm considering a line of commemorative merchandise. Still, that's nothing compared to what Helen would have made us in the long run. I'd offer to assist you in your work, but I have a mystery of my own to solve, I'm afraid. You may very well want to. This particular trouble strikes me as not unrelated to your investigation. Items are disappearing from Slug's storage and processing warehouse. The thefts began a week before Helen's unfortunate death, and there have been more instances since. Before you ask, I know the difference between cargo going missing and cargo going missing. This is the latter. Nothing unsavory, and nothing Ludovico shouldn't know about, if that's your concern. I'm quite serious when I say Slug is a legitimate business. As to the specifics, I'm not sure. The warehouse foreman should be able to tell you. Before you ask, I know the difference between cargo going missing and cargo going missing. This is the latter. I'm not sure. I'm only confident there is one. That the thefts began mere days before Helen's untimely demise is an extraordinary coincidence. I'm not a man who believes in happenstance, Inspector. I do not trust it. I certainly wouldn't take that bet. Regardless, this will be fun. You out in the field, chasing down leads. Me, scheming in my office, preparing to unspeakably mangle the perpetrator. I would never. Company secrets and all that. You'll want to speak with Ella Tinsley, the warehouse foreman. I've cleared her as a suspect myself, but should she refuse to cooperate, shoot her. No, I'm joking. If she won't cooperate, tell me and I will shoot her. And do feel free to search my office for clues while you're here. Don't hold back on my account. Was there something else you wanted to discuss? Bar fight? Drunk raptidons? Black Hole Birdie practicing his hacking in the middle of the street? Stop me if it's one of those, or I'll just keep guessing.
Sounds as though you've already sorted it out yourself.
Slug uniforms do seem to go missing from the hotel laundry with impressive regularity. Easy enough for someone to nick a few.
Now ask yourself this. Why would anyone give thugs slug gear and send them after you? Right again, Inspector. But I can't fathom who would benefit from tarnishing my reputation like that. Can you? You said it, not me.
So, as you've deduced, I did not send anyone from Slug after you, nor is it likely they assigned themselves that task. Still, I am sorry for the trouble, Inspector. With that matter settled, is there anything else you'd like my assistance with? The original incident? Well, I made him an offer he should have refused. An excellent deduction, Inspector. Our combative relationship stems from paperwork, mundanely enough. Rizzo's contracted Sublight to construct the Eridanos atmospheric complex. Had Lou wanted Rizzo's to retain full control of Eridanos, he shouldn't have skimmed the revised contract I sent him. Lou's an administrator, for law's sake. I thought he would adore all the fine print I added. Still technically visible to the human eye, but only just. You're quite good at this. It was all perfectly legal, too, which irked Lou to no end. My power grab, as Lou called it, planted the seed of hatred. And Lou, obsessed with what should have been, has made sure to water it daily with his bitterness and anger. Do you think power belongs to those who submit the proper paperwork requesting it? Slug's control of Eridanos is a crucial step in my long-term plans for Sublight. The board needs to see irrefutable proof we are a respectable, legitimate business. Because one day soon, Sublight will obtain a seat on it. Meanwhile, our dear administrator is still laser-focused on old slights, which can be a nuisance. He's grown increasingly desperate to catch Slug with our hand in the proverbial cookie jar as of late, convinced we're involved in less than legal business opportunities. Continue investigating, Inspector. I'm afraid you'll find both you and Ludovico will be disappointed in that regard. Very well. A few. Helen was strangely curious about the private business operations around Eridanos. She said it was role research, but how much business know-how does one actor truly need for an action picture? I also arranged to have Helen supplied with mag picks, bypass shunts, and other hacking tools. She wanted to buy in bulk. Because she paid me to, Inspector. Besides, Helen was enjoyable company. She was confident, resourceful, determined, not unlike you, now that I consider it. A few. Helen was strangely curious. I also... Because... Besides, not unlike... That is the question, isn't it, Inspector? Tell me, do you really believe Helen's death was a mere crime of passion? Or one of petty career jealousy? A smart approach, Inspector. And yet, this murder is bigger than Miss Helen's personal life. Bigger than her latest moving picture. Indeed. I suspect Helen arrived on Eridanos with grander plans than promoting Spectrum Brown. I knew I was right about you being clever, Inspector. I'm glad. Because whoever did kill Helen is not going to come forward so easily. I might. I just might. Your point, Inspector? Yes, I suppose you have. Be very careful, Inspector. I'd very much like to see you still around for the grand finale, whenever it comes, whatever shape it takes. One moment, if you please, Inspector. I've answered your questions. I believe it's my turn to ask you a question now. What, or who, made you decide to investigate me? Understandable. A man of my standing would naturally be tied up in all this, whether he wishes to be or not. Now then, did you need anything else?
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. A cursory fingerprint analysis shows this display case was recently opened or closed. Confirmed. The grip has been modified for a specific wielder, most likely the rifle's owner. Additionally, the plasma rifle sights appear to have been realigned to better accommodate a shooter with slight myopia in one eye. The fingerprints belong to Cedric Kincannon.
Oh, admiring my rifle. Had it custom fitted by a woman on Monarch.
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. This copy of TK contains 142 fewer pages than a standard copy. The missing pages were likely removed to create sufficient space for the hidden listening device inside. Transmission receiver location unclear. Inspector, please consider speaking into the device in order to trace the transmission and reveal the receiver's location. Poor woolly cow impression transmitted. Transmission analysis complete. While the precise location of the receiver could not be pinpointed, it has been narrowed down to a smaller, approximate range. Analysis inconclusive. However, there is a minor accumulation of dust particles present on the book's uppermost surface. The area within a 0.5-meter radius of the book possesses a dust coating comprised of at least twice the number of particles. That is highly likely, Inspector.
What's that you found? No, wait. Don't tell me. Let's save it for the big reveal once you've solved the case. Inspector.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
The original incident? What? No. Ah, no. Why in the architect... Our combat had lose... It was my... Me. He's grown... Continue.